Can of worms, meet the can opener, Donald Trump. When you sue the New York Times, when Melania gets sued by Michael Wolff as a preemptive strike against her suing him for defamation, when Donald Trump is at the heart of vindictive prosecutions, he becomes a prime witness. Now Donald Trump has opened the door and is going to force federal judges to make him testify in all of these ridiculous cases. Michael Wolff versus Melania Trump is not just Michael Wolff and Melania Trump. It's about all the witnesses that are going to be called to the stand that Michael Wolff is going to be allowed to depose in discovery, maybe put in trial to prove his case. It's Melania. It's Donald Trump. It's Ghislaine Maxwell. New York Times case. Same thing. Donald Trump suing the New York Times for defamation. It's Donald Trump sitting for yet another deposition. It's Todd Blanche and Donald Trump and Lindsay Halligan giving testimony about vindictive prosecution. We covered that all from that angle on the midweek edition of Legal AF. And here's a clip.
I think we should start today with Melania Trump is threatening an author with a lawsuit, and he is fighting back by filing a lawsuit against her, accusing her of essentially trying to chill his speech. And it's all about the Epstein scandal. So there's just a lot going on in this intersection of law and politics that we talk about always on Legal AF. And so I'm just so happy to be here with you and talk about these things with you. How you doing, Dina?
I'm okay. So glad to be doing this with you. There's so many things here we talk about. I just want to also just do a shout out for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Screen early, screen young. And for those who are living with breast cancer, there's so many great treatments out there. All of us on Legal AF and MeidasTouch are with you. So hang in there.
That's awesome. I love that. So why don't we start out with Melania Trump, because it is just this incredible lawsuit. If you don't mind, can I frame the issue for us? Because it is just this astounding lawsuit. So Michael Wolff is an author, and he's written some books, mostly nonfiction, and a few biographies. He's also done some magazine articles, and he's gotten some awards, etc. And in various podcasts, Instagram posts, and writings, he has made statements about Melania Trump and her connection to Jeffrey Epstein. And those statements he talked about fall into a couple of different categories, but the statements are as follows. One is Mrs. Trump could have information about her husband and Mr. Epstein. Number two, Melania was very involved in Epstein's social circle. Number three, she's introduced by a model agent, both of whom Trump and Epstein are involved with. She's introduced to Trump that way. Epstein knew her well. The next statement, Trump liked to F his friends' wives and first slept with Melania on his Lolita Express, meaning Epstein's famous private jet that many people are accused of having flown in, including Donald Trump many, many, many times. The flight logs corroborate that. Next, where does Melania fit into the Epstein story? Next, Epstein told you that Trump and Melania got together the first time on Epstein's airplane, and that Melania met Trump through the same modeling circles through which Epstein and Trump procured dates. Next, this sham marriage, trophy marriage, hardly any marriage at all, is part of the scam. And another one is the Epstein story, in which Melania plays no small part. Where does Melania fit in with Epstein? You stated that Mrs. Trump is sending letters threatening to sue anyone who makes the connection between her and Epstein because they are hiding something they don't want us to know. That last statement is very interesting because she's saying that's defamatory. What he's saying is, you know what, that's actually true. And the defense to defamation is absolute truth. If something is true, or opinion, or a hypothetical question, those all can't be defamatory. Those are statements. And how do we know that that last statement is true, that she's threatening people with lawsuits? Because that is exactly what she's done. She wrote a letter, a demand letter, which is very common for lawyers to do prior to filing a lawsuit, where they basically say, this is my claim, and let me know if you want to talk about it before I settle. And she basically said that she threatened in this lawsuit in this demand letter, that her legal team threatened Michael Wolff with $1 billion lawsuit if he didn't immediately retract the statements that I just told you about and apologize for the defamatory remarks linking Melania Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. So what Michael Wolff did was, when he got this demand letter, he filed a lawsuit against Melania. And he filed something called an anti-SLAPP lawsuit, which stands for a strategic lawsuit against public participation, SLAPP. So it's anti-SLAPP. So it's essentially you're not allowed to suppress and intimidate speech on an issue of public interest by threatening a lawsuit. And so at least 35 states have these anti-SLAPP laws. New York has a very strong one, stronger than Florida, in fact. And so Michael Wolff's lawyer was very smart to bring it here in New York. And this lawsuit basically says that, it talks about this demand letter where she threatens to sue him for $1 billion if he doesn't apologize and retract it. And basically says, look, these statements are either true, or they're my opinion, or I made them I was talking hypotheticals, like, what was Melania's involvement with Epstein? That's just a question, right? There's nothing wrong with asking a question. That's not defamatory. And that they were not made with actual malice, which is the standard to prove defamation against a public figure. And of course, she's a public figure. So the thing that interests me the most about this lawsuit is it gives Wolff subpoena power. So since the statements pertain to matters that largely occurred here in New York, like I said, this will permit him to subpoena and take depositions and get discovery from many, many witnesses, everyone who frequented or were part of Epstein's circle, including Donald Trump. So it's a pretty big deal, this lawsuit. And boy, has Melania Trump opened up a can of worms by sending that demand letter. So what are your thoughts about this, Dina?
Yeah, I mean, anytime that Trump or Melania have to actually face a court where there's rules of law, it goes badly for them. So, here, this anti-SLAPP motion, it brings the issue forward quicker. That's the benefit of it. That's why so many states, California has one as well, have these in place, because otherwise just the threat of being sued or actually being sued for defamation and all the costs, the protracted nature of a civil lawsuit can drag things out for years, and it's very expensive. And that in itself is like chilling a free speech. So this brings the matter to a head quicker, sooner. And that benefits, of course, Michael Wolff here, but frankly, anybody who wants to speak out and say something against Trump or Melania and all the others, trigger happy lawsuit folks out there, which there are many, it seems like, taking the cue from Trump. So this is good. It's good to get it out front. I mean, is she really going to continue this process? Is she really going to be willing to sit for some sort of deposition? Is she really going to be willing to, sign an affidavit under perjury of law? It seems unlikely. I mean, frankly, Trump is shutting down the government, it seems, to not get the Epstein files released. They're doing like anything but that. I can't imagine she's going to not, want this to now quietly go away. But if she does, he now can look at all of that, because as to your point, which you framed it all so well, the fact of the matter is, if something is true, then that is a complete defense. If something is an opinion, that is a defense. And they have this very high threshold Melania has to prove, which is, even if you said something that's untrue, and even if you said it as a fact, you had to have knowingly said that untrue. And that's very high to prove. This is why a lot of public figures don't bring a defamation lawsuit to begin with. Here she has, like we know, Trump is very litigious. He's refiling his lawsuit against the New York Times. But this anti-SLAPP motion, which some states have, the whole point of it is exactly this situation, to not have people in power chill free speech.
Welcome back. We've been sitting at the intersection of law and politics for 5 years now. We're the #1 rated law and politics podcast out there, and that is a testament to you, our audience, without which we wouldn't be here. We'd just be some semi-interesting people shooting the crap at the local coffee bar. But with your help, we're helping to protect democracy, helping to defend the rule of law. And we appreciate you being here. Full-length version of the podcast every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we do commercial-free versions over here on Legal AF Substack and Legal AF YouTube and all of that good stuff. You're on MeidasTouch, hit the free subscribe button. If you're on Legal AF, hit the free subscribe button. That's the way you defend our journalism, our commentary, our independent defense of the First Amendment and freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Help the podcast. Our audios are doing okay, but we could use more audio downloads. I'll be frank. Come over to Apple and Spotify, leave a 5-star review, listen to it, send it off to your friends and family. Video, we're sometimes in the top 20, top 30 of all podcasts in America. That's because of you. So thanks for supporting us. We really do appreciate you from the bottom of our heart. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popak. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.